pause this. We good now. So if you blessed, like Mr. Zachary, if you blessed and grateful just to be on another call, to be on top of the ground instead of the ground being on top of you, go ahead and flush some chat. Flush some ones in the chat, bro. Flush some ones. I want some ones. Sheesh, y'all flooding them ones. Y'all got them ones deep. All right. So we on part two today. We on part two. I told y'all on the last part, last time we talked about the five principles of leadership. We talked about the five characteristics of leadership. But today, we about to talk about the five master keys to get anything you want in this business. Anything. See, oftentimes we talk about the keys to success. We talk about the keys, have it every week. But what are the if I can narrow down five things that everybody needs, see, if I can find out five things, narrow down five things that everybody will need to take their business to the next level, what would they be? And then this training was born. I first heard the idea from Riyadh. He says that's one of the master keys. And I say, master keys? I said, master keys? I was like, I need to do some more research. And then, boom, here we are. On Mundane Mastery, part two. So, like I said, there's five of them. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kick it off with number one. And that is personal evolution. That's the first thing, the first master key that you need to understand and realize as it pertains to this business is personal evolution. This business is built on personal evolution. If you do not grow, if you do not evolve, neither will your business. And I hate to see somebody that has somebody in their business that outgrows them. Somebody tells Scott, yes. But that's just the way it goes. You need to evolve. And I'm going to break it down into three levels. Everybody needs to personally evolve mentally. And this, shout out to the mastermind. But, I mentioned last night, it was like, this business is like, coming out of a shell. And the shell is your mental. Because when you are living in reality, and I say this a lot, but you are a supernatural being having a natural experience. So traditionally, what we do is we live in the natural because that is where reality lives. We live in the natural and we have this day-to-day routine, eat, sleep, work, and repeat. And that's how a lot of our lives go. And when we break out of this cycle, when we escape this cycle, we have to now think differently. There's no choice but to think differently. That's the only way to escape, is to be willing to personally evolve mentally. And the first switch is escaping reality. That's the first switch that you have to make. You have to willingly break out of that cycle. Once you do that, you have already taken a step towards personal evolution mentally. Mental evolution. You've already taken that step. If you escape reality, if you escape the natural. Because once you do that, your mind is like a stomach. Once it expands, it never goes back. And that is the first step. You have to personally evolve mentally. Not only do you have to initiate that by escaping reality, but you have to continue to do that. That sounded bad. But you have to continue to do that as you evolve in this business. Let's take the ranks, for instance. You have to evolve mentally from P150 to P600. Not even that. From customer to IBO. Not only do you have to escape that reality of, the day-to-day and coming into this space, knowing this information, but you also have to make the switch between a customer and the IBO. Because once you're willing to be an IBO, you just have to think a little bit differently. Same goes as for the ranks. P150s think differently than P600s. And if they don't, then there's a gray area between the two. Same thing as you move on up. Platinum chairmen think way different than platinum leaders because of mental evolution. You have to mentally evolve in order to spiritually evolve. And that's the second one. Because once you are mentally ready for spirituality, that's when it'll come. See, a lot of people, they think, oh, how do I tap more into the spiritual? How do I tap, some people, they didn't even know what the spiritual was until they got into this business. So how do I tap into more of the spiritual side? You have to have the mental fortitude, and that comes with mental evolution. You cannot have spiritual evolution without mental evolution. You can't do it because you have to be ready for the spiritual. Because the spiritual, I mean, you're going to look a little crazy. I'm going to just say that right now. You're going to look a little crazy when you start to tap into the spiritual for real. You're going to start saying stuff that you really wasn't saying before. You're going to start doing stuff that you really didn't do before. You're going to start going places that you never really gone before. You may be, one of those cats that go to a party, every week, every couple of weeks, do this and that. You may go out with your friends. You're going to skip out, going out with your friends, and you're going to be downtown at the high rise doing, walk arounds, doing, looking at it, taking pictures, putting it right there. But you're going to start to do things just a little bit differently. You're going to start to look a little crazy because the lifestyle that you're used to, you're accustomed, or your friends, the people that you hang out with, are accustomed to that lifestyle, accustomed to going out to those parties, going out to those bars, doing X, Y, and Z. And you're out doing this. You're out, instead of going out to parties, you're going to masterminds. Instead of going out, drinking, smoking, doing all of this, you out, dream building, you out test driving cars. In the morning, folk call you 7 a.m. eating Cheetos and talking about nothing. And you up on Mornings with Nano, taking notes. And this is where it got a little funky for me. This is when folks started calling me crazy. I started to make a little card, and I started to read what was on the card every morning on Mornings with Nano. And on Mornings with Nano, when he played that song, the meditation thing on YouTube, and it'd be like, doom, and then the lady with the soft voice come on. I was playing that, and it was on my laptop, and it was loud, and I was sitting there with my hands like this, and I was reading the card. My sister came in the room talking about, boy, what is you doing? What are you doing? That's just when you start tapping into that spiritual. That's just what happens. That's just what happens. But like I said, you have to have the mental fortitude to be ready for that. That's why you have to evolve mentally before you evolve spiritually. Because guess what? You have to be mentally okay with looking crazy for a season. That's what mental evolution is. And that is the first thing that you have to realize. That is the first thing that you have to master. You have to be okay. You have to be okay with the change. Not only do you have to be okay with it, but you have to accept the change when it comes. And once you build that mental fortitude, that's when the spiritual begins to initiate. You start to hop on more Mornings with Nano. You'll start meditating more. You'll start, putting stuff up on the wall. You'll start, writing down your goal cards. You'll start plugging into more trainings. You'll start to, speak the right things. That's when your heart starts to change. Is when you tap into the spiritual. And also when you tap into the spiritual, a lot more people that are tapped into the spiritual are going to come around you. It's funny how that happens. Once you start tapping into the mental, a lot more people with mental fortitude are going to start coming by you. You're going to start interacting. You're going to start seeing them more. Same thing with the spiritual. Once you start, getting your spiritual together, more people that are tapped into the spiritual start to come around you. Like I said this, I don't remember when I said it, but I was like, folk favorite phrase is the vibe is off. That's when the vibes start feeling right. Is when you around people that have the same spirituality, have the same mental space as you, and that is the master key. Because guess what? Without this, how can you effectively lead if you cannot personally evolve? How can you picture this? Your team has to evolve. Your team has to go from one person to 10 people to 100 people to 1,000 people to 10,000 people. Your team cannot make those types of evolutions if you do not become a different person. You can't. It's not possible. Because guess what? If success depended on you being the same person, the door would have opened already. And it hasn't. That's probably why you're here. That's probably why you're on this call. But you have to realize that you cannot have leadership, you cannot have culture, you cannot put systems in place if you do not evolve. And I'm gonna move on to the third one, physically. So the first one mentally, second one spiritually, and then third one physically. You have to evolve physically, not just not like that, but I mean just it's just something about you. Like it be some folk on Instagram, they be talking about you just glow different. You glow different when you're a different person. You start to look different when you're a different person. When you start to care about your spirituality, when you start to care about your mentality, you start to carry yourself a little bit differently. And this is another favorite phrase. And I'm gonna tell y'all a story. This was the first time I knew that not the first time, but one of the few times that stood out to me. That's why I knew I was different. I was in sixth grade. It was the end. No, it was the yeah. It was the end of sixth grade. It was the end of sixth grade, and I had this teacher. His name was Mr. Walk, and basically what happened was, we were getting our things together. I think it was like the last day or second last day. I can't really remember. And he pulled me aside. I don't know what he was pulling me aside for. In middle school, I was one of them kids nobody liked. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest. But he pulled me aside. I don't know what he was pulling me aside for, but he said, Marquise, he said, I don't know what it is, bro. But there's something about you. It's something about you that's different than everybody else. And when you start tapping into your mentality, you start tapping into your spirituality, and it just starts to work from the inside out. That's what people are going to begin to say about you. They're going to say, you know what? It's something about you that's different. It's something about you that I don't, they're going to say this. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just different. That's the positive one. Second one, they go like, bro, you done changed. You done switched up. You done switched up. No cap. I don't know what it is that you're doing, but you need to quit that. You ain't the same person. And that's how you know you're on the right track. Mentally, spiritually. It starts working on the inside. Once you work on the inside, it just naturally comes out. Dropping number one. Dropping number one if you watch Naruto. Or if you've watched Naruto. Hold up. All right, we back with it. So it was only one, so I'm probably not even gonna say it. Well, I probably will. I'm gonna explain this. Okay, so Naruto. Naruto is this cat from this look. I'm not even gonna go into detail from this village. And he has this thing inside of him. And basically what happens is that, sometimes when he loses control, it just starts to work on the inside and it just starts to seep out to the outside to the point where he starts to look different. And that's just the point where I was getting at. I hope more people would have dropped some ones, but that's exactly how it is. Starts working on the inside, you start working on your mentality, you start working on your spirituality, and then it starts to work on the inside, then just seep to the outside to the point where it is physically apparent that it is working on the inside. But that is the first master key. The second master key, the second master key is leadership. Because once you start your personal evolution journey, mentally, spiritually, and physically, you got to do something with it, especially when it comes to this business. So when you first start out, you have to make the switch mentally. Then you start really working. You start really plugging in spiritually. You start plugging in the mornings with Nano. You start doing this. You start doing that. And more than likely, you're going to get your tour free. More than likely. More than likely, they're going to get you tour. You're going to get your tour free. You're going to go P150. You're going to go P600. And with that being said, you got to know how to lead. That is the second master key to get anything in this business. You got to evolve and you got to lead. And basically, what leadership is influence. Picture it like this: you evolve, you initiate your evolution so that you can evolve. Once you evolve, you pick others up and help them do the same thing. It's like going P600. You enroll three people. I'm on this. I didn't make this connection till just now. Think about it. I learned this from SBC. Shout out to SBC. But when you learn the skill, you're gonna learn the skill. You're gonna learn how to plug in. You're gonna learn how to do this, but you're still an amateur. So when you bring people into the business, you already know what to do because you've already done it. So once you evolve, you already know how to evolve. And you already know how to initiate your leadership. All you're doing is just repeating that and duplicating that to other people. You do that 3 times, you're a P150. Now, you teach them how to do the same thing that you just did to them. Now you're a P600. That's the blatant way to lead, but it's much more than that because it starts with influence. See, people are going to be naturally attracted to you when you start to evolve mentally and spiritually. You become a magnet for people that don't have what you have. That's one of them. You become a magnet for people that don't have what you have. You become a magnet for people that have what you have and for people that have already had what you have. That's where a 360-degree leader is born. But that's a whole nother training. I haven't even gotten to that book. It ain't even got to my house yet. But you have to focus on leadership. But in order for you to focus on leadership, you need to focus on influence. You need to know how to influence somebody. How do you influence somebody? You use that natural attraction and you help them do the same thing. If you help somebody from where they are and help them evolve mentally and spiritually, that's influence right there. That's influence right there. Like I said, you already know exactly what to do because more than likely you've already done it. If you initiate your personal evolution and you actually do a little bit of evolving, then all you have to do is just show somebody how to do that same thing. Once you do that, that's influence. But influence is only the foundation to leadership, not its entirety. Influence is only the foundation. See, when you have influence over somebody, that just means that they'll listen to you. That just means that they trust you. But that does not mean that they will continue to follow you. That's not the entirety of leadership. That's only the connection to leadership. That's a good one. Influence is the foundation and then the connection of leadership. It gets people to listen to you, makes you credible, but that does not mean that they will always follow you. You have to plant that seed of evolution. You have to guide them to their growth. Don't just, say, okay, I've been personally evolving. Here, you start the same thing, then bye. No, that ain't it. To me, leadership is an almost lifetime thing. You can never get away from it once you start it because you'll always have that sense of leadership because you always grow. And that's why I put personal evolution first. Because once you really get a hang of personal evolution on all different levels and you start to initiate your leadership, guess what? You're not just going to abandon your personal evolution just because you became a leader. And that's where a lot of people go wrong. They become a leader and think they got it. They think they don't have to evolve anymore because they already have a position of leadership. And that's where evolution comes from again. Position is only the first level. So you have to evolve to the second level, the third level, the fourth level, and then the fifth level. And even then, you don't start growing. But in order for you to be a complete leader, not only do you need to have influence, but you also need to have direction. How do you have direction? Through your growth. That's almost, and it ties really into everything. That's one of the best things you can say to a prospect. I started this new thing. I'm with a community of people that are helping me and guide me, cultivating my dreams and my goals so that they can be that much closer to their accomplishment. I can put you on too. See, I'm still relatively new. I'm still learning myself, but I see the same potential in you that my mentor sees in me. Right there. Closed. Big closed. That screenshot in the IVO chat closed. But it all stems from your growth. Once you grow, you become a leader. And guess what? You develop your influence and you plant the seed for their growth. You show them where your growth has gotten you and plant the seed for theirs. And guess what? You continue to water the seed, to cultivate the seed until they do it for themselves. And then guess what? Once they start to do it for themselves, more than likely they're gonna tell somebody how to do the same exact thing. People do not care about the money in this business. That's only 25% of people. Only 25% of people care about the money that you make in this business. You know that? It's more than likely way more than that. A lot of people, they care more about the growth than they do about the money. They want to compound their mindset rather than compound their account. Because people feel weak. They feel, they feel closed off. They feel stuck. It's another thing just to feel free, to feel free and to have that mindset, to have that spirituality, to have this sense of freedom. You got to have that sense of freedom before you ever get to financial freedom. Because you have to have, it's a big word, fortitude in order to handle it. The money won't come if you're not the right version of yourself. How do you become the right version of yourself? You have to personally evolve and you have to take a position of leadership. That's the only way. Once you take a position of leadership, it's all wraps. You just have to, taking a position of leadership is planting the seed for the pinnacle level. Planting the seed of leadership is position. You have to continue to cultivate the seed until it gets to the pinnacle level. Think of your leadership as like an oak tree. You have to plant the acorn and you have to cultivate the seed until guess what? You're an oak tree. Or think of it like this. Think of an apple tree. You go to the corner store, you go to Walmart, HEB, you cut an apple open and you get to the seed, you go plant the seed in the ground, you cultivate the seed, and then guess what? Over time, it's gonna grow, it's gonna grow, and it's gonna grow until it develops a sprout. And guess what? The sprout becomes a little baby tree. Then it becomes a medium-sized tree. Then it becomes a big tree. And then guess what? It starts producing fruit. I don't think y'all got that. Over time, your growth will produce fruit. What is the fruit? Other leaders, other people that grow, other people that are going to do the same exact thing you did. I think Riyadh describes it as bamboo. Bamboo starts sprouting up all over the place. Have you seen a bamboo forest? It looks like, one of those little joints. I don't even know how to describe it. But you want that. It's not enough for you to plant the seed and for you to grow into a tree and not bear fruit. That defeats the purpose. The whole purpose of this is to grow and bear fruit. And as you grow, you have no choice but to. You're going to want to. Because once you start to grow to a certain degree, you just naturally want to tell others about it. I'm not even talking about building a business right now. You just naturally want to help grow others. Naturally. Once you get to a certain point spiritually, you say, I gotta help other people. You start to have this awareness that there are a lot of people out here. Think about, we talk about it all the time on the cash flow quadrant. There are a lot of people out here that they have no other solution. They have no solutions. It's just the same thing every day. I don't know if y'all seen the movie, Jupiter Ascending, but she did the same thing every single day. They got up at like 5 in the morning, and then the mom was like, "You get there, go up and make the coffee, whatever she said, go make the coffee." And then she's in bed talking about, you know how y'all get when y'all need to go to school, and you don't want to go to school, you don't want to wake up out the bed. That's exactly what's happening. And then she was like, I hate my life. Then guess what? She went to go clean the houses, came back to the house, listened at the family fuss. Then she went to bed, woke up the next day, 5 a.m. Jupiter, go make the coffee. Ugh, I hate my life. And that's what a lot of people are going through. And once you get to a certain awareness, once you start to grow to that level, you just naturally want to go down and you want to help people, bring people out of that because it sucks. Once you know on the outside what it looks like, it sucks. Doing the same thing every single day, like school lunch. Like school lunch. Like, y'all know the lunch served the same thing. That's why y'all was going off campus. Because they serve the same thing. Nobody likes to do the same thing. They want to have that sense of freedom. That's why you went off campus. That's why I went off campus. That's why I started cooking. Because they serve the same thing. Eventually, you get tired of it. And when people get tired of it, guess what? Yo, yo, I got this thing. I got this business, right? And it'll solve all your problems. All you need is a laptop, 235, coachability, and I'll make you $1,000,000. It's that simple. All you need is 235, a laptop, and coachability. That's all you need. If you think about it, like, if you think about it, that's all you need to make $1 million. You know that? You know that? But let's go ahead and let's go to the next one. This one, I like this one. If y'all ready for the third master key, go ahead and drop some threes in the chat box. I want to see if y'all still here. I want to see if y'all still here. Y'all still with me? All right, cool. I see the same names. Where y'all at? All right. I see a few more names. All right, cool. Let's get it. Third master key is systems. Once you grow, once you get a position of leadership, you have the desire to lead, you need systems. It's imperative. It's imperative. You need them. Because guess what? Think of it like this. When you log into im.center, and you log in, I got one. You go to im.center and go to go live. What you see? You see a guide. And it says how to use Go Live, whatever it says. And it gives you a breakdown of how to use Go Live. And all you had to do was just click the Go Live button, and it automatically popped up. Boom, right in front of your face. Now, imagine if Christopher Terry had to hop on the phone with every new member to show them where to go on Go Live. That'd be a whole lot of phone calls. His phone bill gonna be sky high making all them phone calls. You know that? Imagine your favorite product. Let's say your favorite product, Cash Trap. Imagine you not even in Matthew Thayer's business, but Matthew Thayer had to make a call to everybody to show them how to use Cash Trap. Imagine if CT had to make a call for every new person that joined to show them where to go on the basic videos, the academy. No, that would take too long. We all know the acronym, save yourself time, energy, and money. That's where we come in at. We are Chris Terry's system. Imagine that. That little pop-up on Go Live, that is Chris Terry's system. So that he doesn't have to call every single person to let them know how to navigate through Go Live. Guess what? The same thing goes for the products. Whenever you log onto a product, you know that it's a certain pop-up that comes up, and it'll break down how to use the product, and it may even have a strategy on there, and it'll walk you through step by step how to do it without even going to a Go Live channel. That's a system. It saves people time, energy, and money. So why not have the same concept in your business? I want somebody to let me know in the chat box. What is the most time-consuming activity you could do in this business? Somebody let me know something in the chat box. What is the most time-consuming activity you can do in this business? Teach, okay. That's a good, think negative, okay. Okay, 2 people, let me know something in the chat box. What's the most time-consuming thing you could do in this business? I know somebody got something. Plugging into the IM videos, okay, Zooms, plug in, get in the trenches. Okay, I got a few, but I'm gonna take a couple of them for instance. Number one, the first one, you can't get around it. You gotta educate. You got to educate. That's the most time consuming thing, but it's also the most essential thing. I know somebody else says Zooms too. Plug in, do like that. Who else is somebody? What else somebody say? Let me see. Think negative, teach, plugging into the IM videos. That's a system in its own. But I'm saying, what is the most time-consuming thing an IBO can do for their business? I guess that's a better way to put it. What is the most time-consuming thing an IBO can do as it pertains to their business? Okay, phone work. That's a prime example. That's a prime example because, and KW was just talking about this, but you really can't go around it. You really can't go around it. But he said he been on phones all day since 10 a.m. Some people, they be on the phones since they wake up. 7 a.m. to 12 and beyond. Imagine if there was a system that you could put in place to cut down on your phone work. And that's where creativity comes in. And that's going to lead me to my next point. But imagine if there was a system you could put in place to cut down on your phone work. Not eliminate your phone work, but it's not just, yo, bro, it's a call in 10 minutes. You want to be on there? I bet for sure. Or I'm going to add one more in there. Launching. It's essential. It's essential. Everybody has to get launched. But it's also very time consuming. There are a lot of different organizations out there. They have systems in place where you have an introductory Zoom, and then they have, different things. I've seen organizations, they have, group launches. It'll be like 20, 30, 40, 50 people at a time, and, they'll group launch for like an hour and a half, like a Zoom call. I've seen other people, they'll have an introductory Zoom, then, they'll sit right then and there after they enroll, and they'll launch them for an hour and a half. Shout out to Mr. Eddie Wealthy with the 45-minute launches. That's crazy. But what if there was a system you could put in place to cut down on the time that you launch? Prospecting. What if there was a system you could put in place to automatically funnel prospects to your social media? Funnel your prospects through your social media. There are people that do that. Let's say you're real creative. You're a creative person. You don't mind, boogieing on TikTok for a little bit. Some people, they'll actually do those TikTok trends, not them Forex ones, because them Forex TikToks, they play real talk. That's where they get the most negativity, is them Forex TikToks and Forex Twitter. But they actually be doing like little creative stuff, and they'll funnel people from their TikTok to their Instagram. And then they'll automatically have people come to their Instagram, and they get on their Instagram, and then boom, they see all of this. They see Dallas, Houston, Miami. They see, Atlanta. They see all of this stuff. They see road trips. They see events. They see all of this stuff. And then they're like, yo, I'm curious. System. Or what if there was a system you could put in place for your new enrollments for them to funnel through, become educated, and get paid all in the same go? That is the importance of systems. And what a lot of people do in this business is they play the people duplication game. And they'll look at the next person, they'll look at, somebody up here, and they'll write down word for word exactly what they're doing. To an extent, that's cool. But verbatim, not cool. Because I'm going to let you know this right now. People are not duplicatable. Systems are. Principles are. You duplicate the principle, not the person. And a system prevents people duplication. Because guess what? You have to be a master plugger in there. What do you do in Elevation Empire? Let's say, let's take it on the grand scheme of things. You get somebody to the business, you launch, and you plug in. That's generally how it goes. You plug them into the system. You have to become a master plugger in there. So when you create a system for your business, create a plugger in a friendly system. Create a duplicatable system. Look at I Am Academy. Look at I Am Academy's system. To be honest, we don't need to do nothing. If you think about it, the stuff that we do on a day-to-day is not in our job description. We don't have to do nothing. If you plug in to I Am Academy strictly and we don't tell you nothing, you'll be okay. If you have that will, if you have that drop, there are plenty of people that have done it. Plenty. You don't gotta tell folk a word. They just be in the academy. And once you in the academy, you know where to go on Go Live. You go to enough places on Go Live, you're gonna know exactly what you're doing. Like the system is so comprehensive now, the newest person can plug in and get results like this. Your system needs to be like that. Your system needs to be airtight. So where people can plug in on any strategy and make money first 48. You need to build your system like that to automatically funnel students into your business. And once they're in your business, funnel them through your system to where they get results. And then the more people you get results, that's what happens. The more people are going to want to tell other people how they can do the same thing. And that's your best friend. That's your best friend. Because guess what? You're going to pick up the phone, like somebody says, somebody going to pick up the phone. They're like, wow. Who do you know that I need to know? Who do you know that doesn't know how to do what you just did? All the system is just taking pressure off of you. That's just all it is. You create a system so airtight that you really don't have to do nothing. All you got to do is just plug in. Matter of fact, that's what all IBOs should do. IBOs really shouldn't do no more work than just plugging in. Having people plugging them in everywhere. But in order to do that, you have to have a system and you have to be knowledgeable of the system. Imagine that. Imagine an IBO life where you just plug in and just pick up the phone and make sure everybody all right. That's what systems are for. Next one. Number 4 is culture. The 4th master key to getting anything you want in this business is culture. You have to have it. And when I think of culture, I think of GGB. When I think of culture, I think of ATMs. When I think of culture, I think of Nano. When I think of culture, like those are the people that I think of. Because guess what? Everybody in GGB is lit. Everybody. Off rip. Oh, SBC2. Everybody. Everybody in GGB is lit. Everybody. And if they're not, they will be. Why do you think that is? It all starts with the culture guy, with the culture girl. And that's what happens once you have a position of leadership. You have to become a chameleon. You have to be the culture guy. You got to be the education guy. You got to be the structure guy. You got to be all this. You got to be all that. You got to be a chameleon. But guess what? The culture starts with you. You won't have a culture if you don't have culture? Like, look at yourself and ask yourself, do I have culture? Do people even like you? Like, do people even like you? If somebody if somebody were to come to your social media, would they see the culture? Like, if think about it like this. Could you have a party all by yourself? Could if you had some headphones, like like those silent parties, and everybody got their own channel that they listening to, and they got the headphones and they just boogieing, and the next person could be boogieing to a completely different song, but they both just jamming. Could you do that? Think about it. That's what culture is. You got to be fun. Like, one, you got to be likable. Two, you got to be fun. That's that. One, you got to be likable. You got people gotta like you because nobody is gonna build a culture with somebody that they do not like. Two, you got to be fun. People do not like boring people. People do not like dull people. Like, there's got to be some you know something. Like, people just don't want to plug in. Like I said before, people don't like the same things. So if your business is just the same things, then eventually it's going to get boring unless you have culture. But it all starts with you have culture. It's just the way that it is. But not only do you have to have culture, but you also have to know how people work. So there are four kinds of people. There are four different personality types. Everybody has two dominant ones and two other ones. You have to know what personality type everybody is in your business. And if you have a big business, at least your leaders. And your leaders have to know their leaders' personality types. See, when I think of leaders, everybody, how do I want to put this? Everybody should know their leader's personality type, their love language, and their birthday. I'll repeat that. You should know your leader's birthday, personality type, and what was the third one I said? I said personality type, birthday, and their love language. Yeah. You need to know all these three things about your leaders. Because if you know those things, you know how they work. You know exactly how they work. You can be able to tell how somebody works by their personality type. You reinforce that through their love language because you know how they base their affection, and that is a key factor in your leadership. So that's why you need to know these three things. And the birthday one, you need to celebrate your people. Like, they need to know that you care. That was good. They need to know that you care because nobody's gonna stick around with somebody that they don't think cares anything about them. So once you know how people work, once you have culture, that's when you'll start to build culture with your people. It starts out with 2 or 3, and then it goes to 20 or 30, then 200 to 300 to 2,000 or 3,000, and 20 to 30, 200 to 300. That's just the way it goes. And once you get a real close knit culture, people are gonna have no choice but to look at you. They're gonna start to look at you different. You're gonna be on the corporate link, and people gonna be saying your name. They're gonna be saying your team name. They're gonna be promoting it without even knowing they're promoting it. And they're gonna be like, dang, like, I'm really a part of this. And that all goes back to what I was saying before. That all goes back to what I was saying before. In order for you to develop those real leadership capabilities, you have to have the mental fortitude yourself to be able to handle when people escape reality, when people escape that loop that they're in. And once they escape, you have to put them somewhere. And there is no place better for you to put somebody that has escaped reality than to a real close-knit culture. Because guess what? You took them out of an old loop, an old life, and gave them a new one. It's almost the best thing you could do for somebody. That's almost the best thing you can do for somebody, is give them a new sense of belonging. Before, they were a slave to their job. Now, now they're part of a family. They not a slave to nobody. They free. And now they just as good as you. But it all starts with culture. Next one, the last one, I'm not gonna take too much longer, is personal assessment. See, a lot of people, they get this sense of, false results, false pleasure, because they lack the ability to self-assess. At some point, you got to look at, okay, where am I at? Where am I going? And am I on the right track to get there? Or am I on a little detour? You have to be able to not only be all in, but you got to be all in with a bird's eye view. Because when you're all in with a bird's eye view, you're in the trenches. You doing the work. But at the same time, you got the bird's eye view, really honing in and looking at seeing if you're on the right track or not. Seeing if you're doing with the right things. What is the foundation to self-assessment? Intent. Everything you do has to have intention behind it. Like, I came on this call with the intention of delivering the 5 master keys to get anything you want in this business. Whether it's for you or for the people that's going to watch this recording 2 years from now, and they going to hit me up on my Instagram, say, yo, that was the call that I needed. I'm probably not even going to know their name. I'm going to be speaking at an event one day, and somebody going to come up to me, yo, that call that you did back in May 2021? You did, I think it was called, Mundane Mastery, kind of like a RIA type of thing. And, bro, that did it for me. See, because there's some of y'all on this call, this ain't for you. But it's for somebody, I guarantee it. Because that was the intent that I brought with it. Whether this is for you or it's for somebody else. Whether it's somebody that's going to see this on my IG. You have to move with intention. Every single thing that you do has to move with intention. Why is intention so important? Because your actions have to align with your goals. This is something that I personally struggle with. This is where a lot of people come up with that, busy, productive thing. And it all comes back to intent. You'll never lose track if you always keep your intention. Never. If you keep intent on everything that you do, you'll never lose track. Because guess what? Now I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this verbatim. All right. This was off Mornings with Nana. It was like, and if you ever feel like you lose track, just reset and set the intention. Everything that you do must have a different intention, because the same intention you give to one thing may not fit the next thing. Everything must have a specific intention. Everything you do. And then this is another one. You even have to have intention with your self-assessment. When you assess what it is that you're doing, you also have to have intent behind that. Don't just do it because I told you to do it. Don't read the book because somebody told you to just read the book. Don't just do it because somebody told you to do it. You got to have an intention behind what you're doing. When you read that book, what is your intent for that book? What are you going to get out of it? When you're on the Zoom call, what is your intent for the Zoom call? Are you going to educate? You going to shift paradigms? What are you going to do? When you're out prospecting, what is your intent? Is your intent to get a personal enrollment, or is your intent to practice? You have to have intentions. And this is the last thing I'm going to leave you with. Intention aligns your actions with your purpose, but self-assessment makes sure it stays that way. Like I said, you have to move with intention. That's your day-to-day. Move with intention. You have to move with that bird's eye view. That's going to intention aligns your purpose and your goals with your actions. But your self-assessment makes sure it stays that way. Because if you always self-assess, you can never lose intention. It's a given. So let's run back through them. The first one, personal evolution. Personal evolution is the first one on all three levels, mentally, spiritually, and physically. Second one is leadership. You have to develop your leadership skills. You have to develop your sense of influence. You have to, go in that burning house, pull out the deepest parts of that person, tell them everything's going to be okay. You have to do it. And you have to plant the seed for their growth as well. You have to plant your seed for leadership as well, so that you can grow, become the pinnacle leader that you can be. Everybody on this call is a pinnacle leader. You just have to develop the seed, cultivate the seed. Next one was systems. Once you grow and you take a position of leadership, you have to put systems in place so that not only can you be a master plugger inner, but you can develop other leaders, and all they have to do is become master plugger inners. See, you don't want this to become a job. You don't want this to become a task. This should not be a task to do. It's not hard to do. All you have to do is really just create a system, put that in place to where all you have to do is develop more plugger inners. You don't have to do everything yourself. The worst kind of IBO is the IBO that does everything themselves. Your best friend is outsourcing. Use your strengths and outsource your weaknesses. Now, next one is culture. Once you have your growth, your leadership, you put systems in place to become a master plugger inner, and you actually start to develop more people. You start to have more people naturally gravitate towards you. You start to reach down to people that are in need of it. You bring people up. You have a culture for them. You have a family. That's what culture is for. Culture is the family of other leaders. Appreciate you. Your culture is the soil that people need to plant their seeds of leadership. Plant their seeds of growth, rather. Your culture is the soil that your people need to plant their seeds of growth. Because there's no better place to plant your seed of growth than in a close-knit culture. Next is personal assessment. You have to be able to personally assess. What is the foundation of personal assessment? Your intention. You have to move intention behind everything that you do. How do you develop a better intention? How do you develop a better sense of intention? At the end of your day, just before you go to bed, walk your day back in reverse. So, what was the last thing that you did? What was the thing you did before that? What was the thing you did before that? All the way till you get to the time that you woke up. If you can successfully do that, you now have intention behind everything that you do. It can't come from a sense of memory. Our memory cards don't hold upgrades. Whatever memory grade you got, you're going to stick with it. But if you can play your day back in reverse, you have now mastered your intention. If you master your attention, you can master your intention. Because if you master where you look, you can master where you go. And that is where your intention lies. And when you go to your intention, when you go through your intention, you also have to have your bird's eye view, because your intention is going to align your actions and your goals and your purpose, but your self-assessment is going to make sure that you stay that way. It's going to make sure that you're not going backwards. See, because forward and backward both look like the same thing. It's just one person has two different intentions. I'll repeat that again. Forward and backwards look like the same thing. It's just one person can have the wrong attention. If you master where you look, you master where you go. And that is where personal assessment comes in. Because if you have that bird's eye view, you can self-assess. Am I going backwards? Am I going forwards? Because while you're in the midst of it, while you're in the midst of your intention, you can lose your attention. Don't be the one to lose your attention in the midst of your intention. Just to make sure that you don't do that, self-assess. So with that being said, that is my time. That is my time. Go ahead, I'm in this. And now, share the IGTV. I'm gonna pause this too.